Welcome back to our news bulletin. Pakistan has seen its deadliest COVID-19 day with 88 deaths in the last 24 hours as the toll jumps to 1,483. The health ministry said a record 3,039 new cases were detected overnight, taking the total to over 69,000. The ministry said 25,271 patients of coronavirus have recovered so far, while 723 remain critical. The ministry said over 547,000 tests have been conducted countrywide, with nearly 15,000 taken since yesterday. Meanwhile, the National Command and Operations Center has sought suggestions from provinces for opening more sectors. Federal Minister for Planning Asad Umar chaired a meeting in Islamabad to analyze long and short-term strategies. Pakistan has formed a new commission for the protection of minorities' rights in the country. Speaking at a press conference, Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi said the new commission includes members from all minority groups. The commission is headed by a member of Pakistan's Hindu community. Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi lamented the worsening situation of minority rights in neighboring India. He said recently passed anti-Muslim legislation like the CAA poses a major threat to all Indian Muslims. He also slammed Indian belligerence against its neighbors, pointing out the country is facing tensions on all its borders. Speaking on clashes between the Chinese and Indian armies in Ladakh, the foreign minister said the issue stemmed from illegal construction by New Delhi. 7 passengers have been killed and 30 others injured in a bus accident near Pakistan's city of Khanewal. Rescue officials said the bus was on its way from Lahore to Multan when it overturned near Pulrangu while saving a motorcyclist. They said critically injured patients have been shifted to Nishtar Hospital, Multan, and some to DHQ Khanewal and THQ Kabirwala. The officials said a woman and children are among the dead. Brazil has registered a record 33,274 new COVID-19 cases with 956 deaths in the past 24 hours. Meanwhile, 960 more people have died in the US as the tally crosses 103,000. Worldwide, the death count has crossed 369,000 with over 6 million infections. Further details in this report.
Latin America has become the coronavirus epicenter as the death toll in the region topped 50,000 and cases neared 1 million. But Venezuela is set to lift COVID-19 related restrictions starting from Monday and allowed some businesses to reopen. Brazil, Chile, Mexico and Peru are struggling to stem the spread of the disease. In Brazil, healthcare workers from Amazon city of Manaus are venturing deep into jungle communities to test for the virus.
We direct them to the doctor, he evaluates their needs and has them tested. After the test, they go back to the doctor who then prescribes medicine.
Scientific advisory body to the British government has warned against lifting the lockdown, saying the test and trace system is not yet fully operational. Portugal has also given green light to the third phase of its lockdown exit, but some restrictions will remain in Lisbon due to localized outbreaks.
For the country, for the north, for the center, for Altenjo, for the Algarve, for everything will happen as planned, and even the gyms. Relative to the area of Lisbon, we must delay at least between Monday and Thursday the reopening of shopping centers and citizen areas until we have evaluated the widespread testing, which will be done in the next few days.
Meanwhile, in Asia, China has recorded only 2 new confirmed cases of coronavirus with no deaths.
The EU has urged US President Donald Trump to reconsider his decision of ending ties with the World Health Organization amid a pandemic. In a statement, the European Union said now is the time for enhanced cooperation and common solutions. Meanwhile, Germany's health minister called the decision a disappointing setback for international health. In the US too, the head of Senate's Health Committee said it was not the time to leave the global health body. Earlier, Trump said the WHO had failed to hold China to account over coronavirus. US authorities have imposed a curfew in several major cities as civil unrest and protests against George Floyd's killing continue. Meanwhile, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz says the violent demonstrations are no longer in any way about Floyd's killing. Walz has activated the full Minnesota National Guard for the first time since World War II after 4 nights of protests. Governors of Ohio, Missouri, and other states have also mobilized National Guard units as clashes between police and protesters turned violent. Protesters across 30 cities set buildings and vehicles ablaze, while police used rubber bullets and tear gas to disperse crowds. Earlier, President Donald Trump threatened military action against demonstrators in the city of Minneapolis to restore law and order. U.S. President Donald Trump has postponed a meeting of Group of 7 nations scheduled for next month. Trump says he has not yet decided a new date for the meeting, but the summit can take place in September. Speaking to reporters, Trump said the current makeup of the group is very outdated and does not represent what's going on in the world. The U.S. president said he plans to invite Russia, Australia, South Korea, and India as well. Responding to the development, Australia said it will welcome an official invitation to the G7 meeting. In a statement, the government spokesperson said Prime Minister Scott Morrison and Washington have been in contact on the matter. Earlier, German Chancellor Angela Merkel said she would not attend the meeting because of the coronavirus. In Afghanistan, the Taliban have released another 73 Afghan soldiers as part of the peace deal signed with the United States in February. Both sides are required to release a total of 6,000 detainees under the accord. In a tweet, Taliban spokesperson Sohail Shaheen said the group has so far released 420 inmates. The spokesperson said prisoners have been released from Balkh, Kunduz, Logar, Paktia, Khost and Paktika provinces. He said the inmates were sent to their families after giving new clothes and Afghan currency equivalent to $65 as transportation fare. Last week, a 5-member delegation of the Taliban arrived in Kabul to expedite prisoners' release. Shaheen said the delegation has been sent to Kabul for verification and identification of inmates. The Taliban have denied the reports of diseases and chaos among their leaders. Earlier, US-based Foreign Policy magazine claimed the Taliban are in disarray after COVID-19 swept through the top leadership. In a tweet, spokesperson Zabiullah Mujahid said the magazine's report was totally false. Zabiullah said the leadership is not facing disease or disputes. He said Western media allegations are based on flawed information from intelligence services. In its report, the magazine said the illness of senior Taliban leaders and their absence from decision-making come at a critical time. The magazine claimed at a hint of disunity at the top and the possibility that it could spill into a violent rivalry. Somalia's military says it has killed 18 alshabab militants in an operation in the southern Lower Shabelle region. Somali military infantry commander Abdi Hamid Mohammed Dirir said several others were wounded in the raid. In a broadcasted message, Dirir said the operation against the Al-Qaeda affiliates took place in Bolu Orunji and Buzli villages. He said no government soldier was killed or wounded during the operation. This comes after Somali commandos on Saturday killed at least 3 al-Shabaab militants in the town of Liku. 10 people have been killed and at least 13 others injured in a bomb blast in the Lower Shabelle region of Somalia. Police said the incident occurred when a minibus carrying passengers hit a landmine in the vicinity of Hawa Abdi. They said all of those killed and injured were civilians. They said the bus was traveling from Mogadishu to the town of Wanlaivian. A government spokesperson says the death toll is expected to rise as some people sustained life-threatening injuries. Libya's government says it has launched fresh attacks on renegade commander Khalifa Haftar's forces inside the Tripoli airport. The UN-backed government said the raids were part of its ongoing Lightning of Wrath operation to flush out LNA from the country. In a statement, the government of National Accord claimed heavy artillery fire destroyed 3 armed vehicles. Haftar's LNA forces have recently started losing ground to GNA in their offensive on the capital, Tripoli. The US has called for an immediate arms embargo on Libya and a ceasefire to make way for peace talks between the warring sides. Libya's interior ministry says it has found a mass grave with 4 bodies south of the capital, Tripoli. In a statement, the ministry said the grave was discovered in Saldia area, which was recaptured from forces loyal to Eastern warlord Khalifa Haftar. The statement said the bodies belonged to the members of a family, including the mother, father, and 2 children. The UN-recognized Government of National Accord and Libyan National Army have been fighting to gain control in the country. The GNA has accused Haftar's forces of launching numerous attacks to capture Tripoli, killing over 1,000 people. 15 people have been killed in an attack on a convoy transporting traders in a town in northern Burkina Faso. In a statement, the government said the attack carried out by an unidentified group of assailants left several others wounded. The statement said many more people are still unaccounted for and the government is conducting an investigation into the attack. Earlier on Thursday, Burkina Faso's armed forces said troops destroyed a rebel camp in the north, killing 10 assailants in the operation. The country has been battling armed groups with links to Al-Qaeda and ISIS since 2017. Hundreds have been killed in the past year in the Sahel nation, and more than 500,000 people have fled their homes due to the attacks. We're now taking a short break, but stay tuned for more news. Welcome back. In Palestine, the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound has been reopened to Muslims today after a 2.5-month closure due to coronavirus. Authorities have imposed some precautions as health officials warned of a potential uptick in local infections. Council of Islamic Waqf cited slow local spread of COVID-19 as the motive for lifting entry restrictions. The officials said worshippers must wear face masks and bring personal prayer rugs inside the compound. There did not appear to be a limit on the number of people allowed into the 35-acre compound. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia announced the Prophet's Mosque in Medina will gradually open to the public from today. Mosques across the kingdom, except for those in Mecca, will open from today as part of easing of curfew. Illegal Israeli settlers have attacked the homes of Palestinian civilians in the city of Hebron in occupied West Bank. Palestinian state-run news agency reported the settlers were protected by Israeli army as they threw stones at locals. Witnesses said Jewish settlers forcefully entered markets of the old city, terrorizing storekeepers. They said around 800 hardcore Jewish settlers live in the Israeli-controlled section of Hebron, among over 20,000 Palestinians. Meanwhile, Israel forced 2 Palestinians from occupied Jerusalem to demolish their homes. The Israeli municipality ordered them to destroy their residences after they could not pay exorbitant taxes by the authorities. Work on the flight data and cockpit voice recorder from a recently crashed Pakistan International Airlines flight will begin on June 2nd. In a tweet, French air safety investigators said they had received a request from Pakistan to handle repair and data download procedures. They said a French team arrived in Karachi on May 26 and the mission on the crash site is about to be completed. The official said that Pakistani investigators will fly to France along with the French team. Earlier, Pakistan's aviation minister said the initial report of the crash will be made public on June 22nd. The PIA aircraft went down in the southern city of Karachi, killing 97 of the 99 people on board. The sufferings of millions of migrants in India continue as they face mob violence, social boycott, hunger, and exhaustion. The workers have been stranded on roads and shelters after Delhi announced a sudden COVID-19 curfew on March 24th. In a recent incident, the laborers faced protests in West Bengal as locals refused to let them into their native homes. The protest started in Paschim, Badraham, Birbhum, and Howrah districts after 9 workers returned from New Delhi. Meanwhile, health workers say COVID-19 cases spike could have been controlled had migrants been allowed to return before curfew. In a report, they said returning migrants are taking the infection to every corner of the country, mostly to rural and peri-urban areas. India says it is relaxing the world's biggest coronavirus lockdown from early June, but the restrictions will be extended in high-risk zones until June 30th. In a statement, the Home Ministry said places of worship, hotels, restaurants and shopping malls will be allowed to operate from June 8th. It said educational establishments will be opened after consultations with the state authorities. The ministry said night curfew timings will also be changed. In India, desert locusts have engulfed around 35,000 hectares of land in 7 heartland states. The swarms pose a threat to essential vegetable and pulse crops, with experts warning of extensive crop losses. Further details in this report.
The worst desert locust invasion the world has seen in decades has now reached India. The infestation currently radiates through much of the western states of Gujarat, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Punjab and UP. A swarm of these locusts measuring 1 kilometer can eat more food than 30,000 people in a day. In India, they have already engulfed around 35,000 hectares of farmland.
By making a loud noise from the musical instruments like drum, whenever we see the swarms of locusts, we have to make the noise, and the involvement of all the villagers are important in this activity.
For now, authorities have advised people to make loud noises to contain the swarm of locusts.
We have made these preparations to make noise, to prevent the locusts from entering the capital of Uttar Pradesh, Lucknow city. All the villagers are sitting with drums, plates and other instruments. If this activity doesn't work out, then we will spray the pesticides and kill them.
The farmers are unable to contain the locusts completely, and they want help from the authorities.
Last night, the swarms of locusts were present in the area. We contained 50% of them, but the rest of the locusts have caused destructions to the crops in the area.
But experts and farmers have demanded that the federal and state governments should do more to solve the problem. If the summer crops are devoured, India could have another humanitarian disaster on its hands.
Billionaire Elon Musk's rocket company SpaceX has successfully launched 2 NASA astronauts into space from Florida. The mission is significant as it marks the first space flight of NASA astronauts from American soil after a gap of over 9 years. Astronauts Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken are not only trialing a new capsule system, but also initiating a new business model for NASA. NASA says it will no longer own the vehicles it uses, but merely purchase the taxi service offered by SpaceX. The Demo 2 mission is an end-to-end test that begins with liftoff, includes docking with the ISS, and then finishes with return to Earth in the Atlantic Ocean. US President Donald Trump, who was at Kennedy Space Center at Cape Canaveral for the launch, called it an incredible and beautiful sight. Now let's look at the weather from around the globe. This is all for now. For the latest updates, you can follow us on social media at indus.news.